Hey TCAT fans, I want to take a minute to tell you about This Sounds Serious, one of my favorite fictional podcast series. This Sounds Serious is a comedic homage to true crime storytelling and plays with the familiar styles, tones, and tropes of popular true crime podcasts. Season 2 of This Sounds Serious is called Missing Melissa. Believe me when I say it's both gripping and hilarious. Season 1 of This Sounds Serious was rated by Apple Podcasts as one of the best shows of 2018. To find out why, download Season 2 of This Sounds Serious wherever you get your podcasts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 119 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
You almost didn't wait for me to finish. You were just like, you were so eager.
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
To say, hey, man, I'm doing good.
I'm doing real good, man. How about you?
But you didn't have the man on the end, so I don't know what to make of it.
Throwing your whole game off, man.
No, I'm doing great, too. I've had a good week.
Good.
We have a lot of stuff going on right now. So a lot of it centers around our Patreon. Yesterday, we put out on Patreon a first. It was an hour and 15-minute Q&A session, but we did it on video. People have been wanting, something on video. So we're giving it a shot. And we actually put it out both ways, audio only, and then the video with the good audio included. It'll be interesting to see what people think of it. I'm thinking we may be doing more video in the future. And then next week on Patreon, we have a full-blown Patreon-only episode.
Yeah.
So right now is a great time. If you are not on Patreon, go over, check it out. It's very easy to sign up, and you'll get some extra goodies. Speaking of Patreon, we have new shout-outs to give. Leanna Jean.
Hey, Leanna.
Megan Spute.
Spute.
Nicholas Isby.
Hey, Nicholas.
Christina Hughes.
Hey, Christina.
Ashley Lynch.
What's up?
Lords Reina.
The Lords are raining?
No.
Oh.
Dark Nilla.
Dark Nilla.
Yeah.
It's a
Wafer.
Wafer.
Didn't have wafer on the end of it. Lindsay Spicuzza.
Not Spicolzi.
It's Spicoli.
Spicoli.
I love that movie.
Fast Times.
Alyssa Barton.
Hey, Alyssa.
Elizabeth. Addison Betances.
Ooh, Betances.
Gina Pintano.
What's going on, Gina?
Logan White.
Logan.
Emma.
Hey, Emma.
Katrina Lamont.
Ooh, Lamont.
Jessica Massengill.
Massengill, fresh.
Lakshmi Thumuru.
Thumarua.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Amanda Norris.
Hey, Amanda.
Eliza Jane Bruggy.
Ooh, the Bruggy.
Kirsty Adock.
Hey, Kirsty.
Kara Flory.
Hey, Kara.
Jessica Dobney.
Ooh, Dobney.
Jennifer Jones.
What's going up, Jennifer?
And Michelle Kelly.
Hey, Michelle.
And then if we go back into the vault, Gibbs, this week we selected Gemma Hind.
Gemma?
Yep, longtime supporter of the show.
Is that like Swedish?
And another person named Gemma. We have a lot of people named Gemma.
Yeah. Swedish?
I don't know.
Nova Scotia?
You don't even know where Nova Scotia is, do you?
It's over there.
It's in Canada.
It's way over there, man.
We had some great PayPal support as well.
What we got?
Laura Valanaho.
Valanaho?
The Crochet Closet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a fun closet.
Stephen Kessler.
Hey, Stephen.
And T. Cruz Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
I need that.
We both could get a little fitness personal trainer action.
I know. That's what I need.
Yeah.
So right now, Gibbs, we have a brand new episode on TCAT. It's on Earl Richmond Jr. This is definitely a lesser known case. I don't know that anybody has ever done a podcast on this person.
I don't think so.
But I kind of got sucked into it. And then, obviously the issues of the case are what they are. There is somebody that took the fall for one of this person's alleged crimes. All of that I found very fascinating. And I think it's a really good episode that people will like. So definitely check that out.
So I enjoyed it.
All right, Gibbs, are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
Let's do it.
We are talking about a pretty well-known unsolved case centered around Jessica Chambers. And a big shout out goes out to Lana Hyatt in the writing and research of this episode. And I do think, Gibbs, this is a tough case to cover. It really is. And I want to start off by playing a clip. It's from the first responder who discovered Jessica. And he's testifying in court about what he saw.
Yeah.
It's chilling.
You state your name for the record.
Cole Haley.
Mr. Haley, on December the 6th of 2014, at 8:12 p.m., you responded to a car fire.
Yes, sir. When I arrived, I pulled on up to where the car was on fire.
Did you know Jessica Chambers?
I knew her. We weren't, friends or anything, but I knew her.
When you first arrived on the scene, did you recognize this person?
No, sir, I did not.
What was this person wearing?
When I seen her, she had nothing on but her pants. I got out and I got a blanket, and she had her arms out, was coming towards me, saying, "Help me, help me, help me." Her hair was fried out like she'd stuck it in a light socket, and she had black all over her face. Her body was severely burned. I wrapped a blanket around her to conceal her. She reached out for my hand. I held on to her hand, and her mouth, inside her mouth was just charred black. And when I asked her name, she said Jessica Chambers, and she was not recognizable to me. I know what Jessica Chambers looked like. Knowing this is Cortland, I said, "This is Jessica Chambers, not Chambers."
In all your years of being a firefighter, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, sir, and I hope I never see anything like it again.
So let's talk about that for a minute, Gibbs. That was pretty chilling.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is a firefighter, a first responder, talking about what he witnessed when he rolled up on this scene at this fire, and it was Jessica Chambers. A couple of things jump out at me. This is a guy that in his line of work has probably seen some very bad things. This guy was crying.
Yeah, I mean, this is the job they're trained for. But yeah, like you said, this was extreme. This was something that
You can't train for.
you can't know.
I don't think you can at all. And again, this is a case that probably a lot of people know about, but we've had a large number of people ask us to cover it. So let's start off talking about Jessica. Jessica Chambers was born February 2nd, 1995 to Ben and Lisa Chambers. She had 6 siblings. Now, some of these were stepbrothers and stepsisters from her parents' previous marriages. Jessica was raised in the small town of Cortland, Mississippi. And when I say small town, this is a small town. We're talking about maybe 500 people.
That's like going to Mayberry. Barney and Andy and
Floyd the barber.
ooh, Floyd the barber.
Was that his name, Floyd?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Very small, right? 500 people. When Jessica was 3 years old, her parents divorced, but they ended up living down the road from each other. So fairly close. And you know this type of town.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your business. It can be tough. It can be tough. There's little anonymity in a town with 500 people.
Very little, if any.
Jessica was known as the town sweetheart. You know, she had this contagious smile. She was really good at making people happy, and she would help anyone who needed it. I think Jessica was the type of person that, would give the shirt off her back. She'd give her last dollar to someone in need.
I'd give my shirt off my back.
Well, because you're Gibby.
I know.
Half the time you don't even wear a shirt.
Don't have one on now. Now my wallet's a different story.
Yeah. That wallet is kind of super glued in those pants. I noticed you wear those pants a lot.
Well,
I think you just have multiple wallets that you super glue.
So I put the wallet in, and then I stitched it closed a little bit more, so like the wallet can't come back out.
The opening is literally not big enough now for the wallet.
That's how it works.
Jessica played high school softball. She was also on the cheerleading squad. But the other thing about Jessica is she was a very tiny person. I mean, she weighed about 90 pounds, soaking wet.
But she liked good fried food, man.
Who doesn't like fried food?
I love fried food.
I do too. It's the reason why I need to go on a serious, massive overhaul of my
non-fried food diet.
Of my diet, my dietary intake.
Man, plus she lived in the South, man. The food was good there.
They do know how to cook, man.
Yeah.
They really do.
Some good cooking.
The other thing that you read about Jessica is that she was a very trusting person. She wasn't judgmental. I equate that to my own kids. I have one girl that's very trusting.
Yeah.
Almost to the point of being somewhat naive in a good way, I think. But always sees the good in people.
Sure.
So much so that I have to tell her not everybody's good. And you need to be a little, I hate to do that.
Skeptic.
But yeah, you do need to look at some people and say, what's the ulterior motive here?
I know. She was like, Gibby's the best. And you're like, Gibby's not
He's not the best. You don't know him like I know him.
Let me sit you down, tell you some stories about Gibby.
Now, Jessica and her mom, they had those teenage arguments, right? As all moms and daughters do. But at the end of the day, I think it was clear they really loved each other and they were like best friends.
Yeah, and I think you find that with a lot of mom and daughters, right?
I think a lot of moms want that type of relationship. I don't know how many moms and daughters actually have it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think a lot of moms strive for it, but I don't know. In 2012, Jessica's brother died in a fatal car accident, and something happened inside of her. It changed her in a way.
Well, this was her closest sibling that she had. Everybody's got that brother or sister. You're just a little closer than the other.
Yeah, I think because of that, not that you wouldn't have a tough time with losing any brother or sister, but she really had a tough time with this loss. And it was after this that Jessica tried some street drugs, probably for the first time, in an effort to cope.
Yeah, to numb yourself.
So my thought is probably pretty small at first, but eventually, and I think pretty quickly, Gibbs, it spiraled, her drug use.
Yeah, it's going to be who you hang with, right? Who you around and what are they doing, and if they're doing a little bit of something or like, oh, this makes me feel a whole lot better, try this. Just take a hit off of this and you'll be feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah, because it was reported that she got into crack cocaine and meth. And like you said, she's running with the wrong people. It was reported that some of the people she started hanging out with were associated with a gang. Jessica started to date a young man by the name of Brian Rudd. And she ended up moving in with this guy and his family for about 2 years. This caused a major problem at home for Jessica, between Jessica and her dad. Her dad was not happy about this relationship with Brian Rudd. I mean, first of all, I believe he was a conservative guy. He didn't like her moving in with a guy not being married.
Sure, which a lot of parents would feel the same way.
But I think the other issue is he didn't like her being involved in an interracial relationship. Jessica Chambers was Caucasian and Brian Rudd was African American. I don't think her dad liked that. The other thing is Brian was in a gang during this time frame.
No, Jessica didn't get involved in the gang. she stayed pretty much clear of any of the gang activity, but he was still in this gang. So she was associated with him because of that. So I'm sure.
Even on the periphery, it's not good, right? Brian eventually moved away to Iowa. Jessica then had a new boyfriend after Brian. But again, this guy was into drugs. He was abusive to her. So I don't think she's not making great decisions in her life, as it relates to drugs, as it relates to, who she's going to be in a relationship with.
I mean, if they're in a gang, if they're robbing places, not who you need to be hanging out with.
No. And this guy was, because he was arrested for robbery and sent to jail. So, I mean, I think what we're doing, Gibbs, is we're setting the scene, right? Trying to paint the picture that Jessica was this all-American girl who, it seems as though after the death of her brother, which appears to be some sort of catalyst,
right,
really started to spiral. She was having a really tough go at it. She got into a serious drug addiction. She was involving herself romantically with abusive people that were, criminal, into criminal activity. She needed help, but luckily she sought that help out. And Jessica found a place that she believed could help her out. This was an all-female Christian rehab house that offered Jessica treatment for her drug addiction. Jessica participated in this treatment program for a little while. She left the first week of October 2014. It was also around this same time that she began being harassed by some people that she had once been associated with, because I think, Gibbs, they felt like she was snitching.
Yeah.
She was telling the police their business.
She was leaking potential information to her dad, who happened to be the mechanic for the police department, and that he was telling officers things that she was leaking to him.
But all she could do was assure these people that, no, she wasn't snitching on them. But I think she was worried. She was worried about what these people could possibly do to her if they truly believed she was a snitch.
Well, you got to remember, with her first boyfriend, he was part of a gang. She probably heard the stories. She probably knew what was involved if you decided to tell on fellow gang members. I really doubt they took it lightly.
No, most people involved in criminal activity, I don't believe, take snitching lightly at all. Anything that's going to lead to them ending up in jail is a big deal. Now, it's on November 29th, 2014, that Jessica met a guy by the name of Quentin Tellis. And she met Quentin through a mutual friend.
He gives Jessica his number. Jessica puts it in her phone. She texts him, and now he has her number. And they kind of begin a text friendship.
Now, Gibbs, you and I didn't have cell phones, right? When we were at this point in our lives, I'm sure that's how the kids have done it since the text and things have come about. In the old days, you had to write somebody's number like on your palm or something, on the inside of your arm
somewhere,
and then hope it didn't sweat when you ran home or rode your bike home.
You got on your little banana seat bike.
You bet your bippy.
Yeah, you did. I knew you would. I got on my motorcycle.
Gibbs was 12 years old riding a Harley.
Riding a Harley. So
the big thing here, though, is right that Jessica and Quentin have started some type of relationship. They start to hang out.
Like you said, they start hanging out. Quentin goes with Jessica to the hospital on December 2nd, where she picks up some medicine.
So to me, that sounds like the beginning of a relationship, right? A boy says, I'll go with you. You got to run an errand. I'll go with you. That's the start of a relationship.
Yeah. Trying to work your way into their daily life.
That is December 2nd, like you said. The very next day, on December 3rd, Quentin texted Jessica asking her to have sex with him. This is how quickly this relationship is escalating.
It's very fast.
And it seems to be Quentin that's trying to escalate it, which normally it's the boy that is trying to escalate it as quick as he can. Yeah, at one point he texted, "I'm horny." Not much disguise there about what your intentions are.
Cutting to the chase?
Cutting to the chase, I would say. Jessica replied, "Oh Lord," as almost to me as if she's trying to either change the subject or, get off of this line of questioning, but he won't let up. Quentin's not going to let up. At one point, he tries to get Jessica to come over to his mom's house, and she sends him a text letting him know that she's not comfortable having sex with him at his mom's house while his mom and sister are there.
Yeah, not going to happen, buddy.
But this guy doesn't give up.
He's persistent.
This is day after day, right? 12:04, texting again. "I'm horny." Jessica replies the same way. "Oh Lord." That is, to me, I don't want to have this conversation.
It's like, here again? Really? Oh Lord, man. Really?
On 12:05, Jessica sent a text to Quentin asking for some money to buy food. His reply, again, this guy is not very subtle.
No.
"Sure, I'll give you money if you have sex with me."
Yeah, and Jessica's like, "I'm just talking like $6, man. I just wanted to go to some place and get a sandwich.
Like a Big Mac or something like that.
What's wrong with you?"
And it's really just several minutes after this most recent text that Jessica is pulling into the M&M Convenience Mart. It's actually captured on video surveillance from the convenience store. The other thing you see is Quentin walking across the road to meet her. They talk, they maybe exchange money. We don't really know what happens during this exchange, but then you do see him walking back home in the video. All right, Gibbs, let's take a quick break to talk about Turo. Turo is the largest car sharing marketplace in the world. It's available across the US, Canada, the UK, and Germany with over 10 million users worldwide. Turo has the widest selection of cars available, so you can get whatever you want. You can get the right car or truck for any occasion, often at a lower cost than rental car companies. So it can be a pickup truck for moving day. You can get a sweet convertible like Gibbs drives on the weekends. Find the perfect car for your next adventure on Turo. And if you're thinking about buying a new car, book it on Turo to find out what it's really like. Hop on the Turo app or website, find and book the car you want, then meet the host and they'll hand over the keys. You can choose from multiple protection plans with Turo for each trip. Download the Turo app, that's Turo, on the App Store or Google Play, or visit Turo.com. Get $25 off your first trip when you sign up with our promo code TCAT at checkout. Terms apply. Hey folks, wherever or however you're listening to this podcast right now, you should take a moment and check out Stitcher. Those of you listening on Stitcher already get why I'm saying that. For those of you who don't know it, Stitcher is a free podcast app for iPhone and Android. Stitcher is home to all of your favorite podcasts, from big time heavyweights like Serial and My Favorite Murder to hit shows like The Dream. And of course, your favorite, True Crime All the Time Unsolved. They have so many great podcasts. And Stitcher also has smart recommendations and playlists, so you can find your new favorite show easily and even organize all of your current podcasts. The Stitcher app just has a feel about it, and you need to try it out to really understand what that is. So if you're on your phone, download Stitcher for free right now in the App Store, Play Store, or visit StitcherApp.com/unsolved to learn more. Then on December 6th, Jessica left her home around 10 a.m. to run some errands. And she wasn't going to do this alone. She was going to meet up with some friends. She eventually returned to her house around 2 p.m. that day.
And like most kids, it was an early morning. So she needed to lay back down and take a quick little nap and get about 2 hours in. Wakes up around 4.
That sounds so much like my 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Get up at 10, do something for a couple hours. Man, I need a nap.
I need a nap.
I need a nap. But Jessica does take a nap, and she's awakened around 4 p.m. from a phone call. So whatever happened on this phone call, the result was that Jessica decided that she was going to leave her house again. And she told her mom she was leaving. She'd be back later. She would grab a bite to eat while she was out. She also said that she wanted to clean her car up.
Hey, that's pretty good for a teenager to want to clean their car up.
Sure. She also told her mom that when she got home, she would clean her room.
Right.
All good stuff.
Which sounds good.
So she heads out around 5:30 p.m. and 2.5 hours goes by. She's not home. Her mom begins to wonder what's going on, as moms do. What is she doing? Where is she at? So her mom calls her to see what's going on, to find out what time she can expect her to be home. Jessica answered the phone and told her mom that she would be home soon. This phone call only lasted just a little bit over a minute. And sadly, it would be the last time that Jessica and her mom would ever speak. It was around 8 p.m. that the local fire department received a call about a car on fire on a rural road. So they responded to this call, got there in about 2 minutes.
Pretty fast, actually, especially for a rural area.
I think it's an amazing response time. When the fire department arrived, they immediately saw Jessica's 2005 Kia Rio in a blaze. And this car fire was so hot that it burned off the black paint, making the car look whitish.
Yeah. So I've seen some car fires before, but I've never seen them where they burnt the paint off the car. That's amazing.
Well, I'm thinking that you probably weren't at the scene of these car fires very long, because my assumption is if you stand at a car fire for long enough, in most cases, it's probably going to burn the paint.
Yeah, I'm not hanging around long enough. I'm like, oh, it's a car fire.
What do? You're just stopping at the side of the road and saying, oh, it's a car fire.
Yeah, it's a car fire.
And then you keep going.
I do. It's a car fire. Do I know that type of car? Nope. Keep going. Nobody I know. Hope they're okay.
But unfortunately, this is not just a car burning on the side of the road, right? Where somebody has left it. The fire department, they see Jessica by the car. She's stumbling, trying to walk, can barely stay up. And you heard some of this in the clip, right at the beginning. Jessica is wearing only her underwear, which is odd. Would be odd anytime.
Right.
Very odd for this time of year. This is winter
time.
But this was such a horrific scene. Jessica Chambers was burnt from head to toe. Really, the only part of her body that was not burnt were the bottoms of her feet and her rear end.
Yeah.
It was almost as if she was in a seated position with her feet on the ground when everything caught fire.
Yeah.
It was estimated that 97% of her body was burnt. And obviously they couldn't know this at the scene, but police would later figure out that the reason why her burns were so extensive was because someone doused her heavily in gasoline.
And I just wonder, was her clothes taken off prior to, or did the amount of heat from the fire, could that have burned the clothes off of her?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I don't know, at least in the research that I ever saw somebody make a conclusion about that. There's a part of me that thinks her clothes had to have been removed prior.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm no expert, but there's just something in my head saying that much heat with clothes on would somehow fuse to your skin.
And that, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And that's why I'm thinking her clothes were off before she was doused with the gasoline and caught on fire. But there's one thing that you cannot deny. Jessica Chambers was a fighter. She was still alive. She was still trying to talk. You heard it in the clip. she's trying to talk to first responder Cole Haley. And this was a kid that knew her, went to high school with her, knew her dad from the police department. He had no idea who he was talking to. And even when she tried to say her name, it came out, very slurred. Again, I go back to the clip. Cole Haley, to me, Gibbs, he seemed traumatized.
Oh, you could hear it in his voice.
And I don't know how much later that clip was from the time that this happened. I think this is one of those that sticks with you for a very long time.
I know how we are when we research some cases, right? That really hit us close to home.
You're still somewhat traumatized by the Sandra Cantu case.
Yeah, it stuck with me.
That was years ago.
Yep.
We didn't see it. We just researched it.
Yeah, that was terrible, man.
So Cole is talking to Jessica, and he's trying to get from her what happened. Who did this to her? She has serious issues speaking. I mean, everything is burnt. I mean, you cannot overestimate how bad the burns are, but she is able to speak somewhat. And she gets out what sounds like a name.
Yeah.
And to Cole, it sounded like she said Eric.
But that would be tough, right? He's got the fire engine behind him. He's got the roaring noise of the flames on the car. He's probably in a little shock himself, right? He's got his gear on. Maybe he can't hear as crystal clear as one would without their gear on. Just got so many different factors. And we know she's not pronouncing things as clear as she could, right? I mean, there's literally soot coming out of her mouth as she speaks, which would really freak me out if I was standing there.
Yeah, I think all of the points you're making are valid, and I think they all come back around to the same thing. He thinks it's Eric. Very hard to put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah.
Because of all the factors that you just mentioned.
Sure.
So they airlifted Jessica to the nearest hospital. And by this point, her parents are aware, what is going on. They rush to the hospital to meet her. The doctors are trying to save her life, but they can't. And Jessica is pronounced dead at 2:37 a.m. And I think what's really sad, obviously her losing her life is unbelievably sad. Her mom was able to spend some time with Jessica.
Yeah.
Before she passed. I think she actually passed in her mother's arms.
Yeah, I actually read one article that said Jessica was such a fighter, and the parents knew that she was in so much pain that the mom actually had to tell Jessica it was okay to let go. It was okay to go. You don't need to keep fighting anymore. Just go ahead. I think that'd be really tough.
It would be. It would be for a parent, number one, to realize that there's nothing anyone can do. No matter what, your child is going to die. You don't want them to suffer another 10 minutes, another 5 minutes.
Right.
But that's a very rough situation. And then you talk about all the people working at the hospital that day. They were very heavily traumatized by what they saw, early that morning. Some of them, because of what they saw and the trauma that they went through, they never went back to that line of work again.
Can't blame them. Can't blame them.
So let's go back to the name Eric. Police have it. And they begin to start interviewing every Eric and Derek in the area. Obviously very close, right? Eric, Derek. But nothing pans out. Not a single Eric, not a single Derek really make the viable suspect list. The person that does jump to the top of the police radar is Quentin Tellis. And this is the individual that police are going to try for Jessica's murder, not once, but twice. The police used Jessica's phone records to try to piece together a timeline of that day. It was reported that the police went through thousands of phone numbers. during their investigation. They also questioned over 150 people, which is a lot considering the town only has 500. Now, I'm sure some of those 150 didn't live in that town.
So this is good information, right? They're going to pull in all the electronic data that they can from the cell phone records and the pings, and they're going to take what information they learned from the interviews on what happened that day. Where did you go? Where did they go? Who did you see? And they're going to weave it all together the best they can to put out a timeline to see if it makes sense and if they can get some better answers.
Yeah, it's all good technology. We're also talking about 2014, right? This is only 5 years ago.
Pretty fresh.
This is not a case from 1991 where some of this technology didn't exist and nobody was using cell phones. Now, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily believe that the cell phone ping information is quite as reliable as what authorities claim it to be.
Right.
But I still think it's useful in at least putting together a timeline.
That's why I always take my battery out when I get here.
You should.
Yeah. I don't want people to know I'm here.
So the police were able to determine that Jessica spent that morning with her friends, Kesha and Quentin. They took a drive. They got a bite to eat. They also smoked some weed as they were cruising around town.
Just a normal day.
Something that I believe 3 teenagers are probably doing
Right this moment?
right this moment in about 1,000 different places.
Yeah.
And I'm probably underestimating it by a lot.
Probably smoking the weed first and then getting something to eat.
That's usually how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or so I've been told. Now, while they were cruising around town, they were making plans, at least Kesha and Jessica were, to party the next day because it was Kesha's birthday. Jessica was driving and she dropped off Quentin at his house. She drove off, but as soon as she drives off, she receives a text from Quentin that says, "I need you." She replied back, "What do you need?" And he texted back, "Some lovin'."
So he's getting a little bit, we went from I'm horny to some loving.
So Mr. Smooth, and she replies what appears to be her normal reply of, "Oh Lord."
Except this time after it, she says, can't. So I think that's just her kind of blowing the situation off.
Blowing the situation off or blowing him off.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big distinction because, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, later. If he felt as though she was blowing him off, would that upset him? And maybe either of them would have upset him.
Right.
Jessica dropped Kesha off and then she returned home. She hung out with her mom for a while. She took a nap. She woke up when Quentin called her at 4:30 p.m. He told her that he wanted to hang out. He wanted to go and get some dinner somewhere. Apparently, Jessica told him that was okay as long as he paid for it. Jessica attempted to call Kesha to let her know what she was doing, but Kesha didn't answer. Just after 5 p.m., Quentin is seen walking to that same local M&M convenience store. On video, he's seen hanging out in front of the store, waiting for Jessica to pick him up.
But he doesn't wait long. He eventually just starts walking away from it, kind of headed south.
About 15 minutes later, 5:15, Jessica pulled in, stopped at the M&M convenience store. She got $14 in gas.
And the owner thought that was a little strange because typically when Jessica came in, she'd do like what most kids do, right? Put a couple bucks in.
Right. I got $5. Give me 2 gallons.
Yeah. You get me where I need to go for the night and that's it. But she told the guy that they were going to go a little road trip. So she needed to make sure she had a full tank.
Then around 5:30 p.m., Jessica is seen on camera waving to someone at the M&M store. And this is the last time she's seen on video. Unfortunately, we don't know who she waved to because that person never hits the tape, the recording. We never see that person's face. And also that person has never come forward.
Yeah. No one said, hey, that was me she was waving to that night.
Now, it was just after this that Jessica contacted Quentin for what we believe is the very last time. She then headed south of the store on Highway 51, and it's not long after this that both Jessica's and Quentin's phones ping a cell tower near the local Taco Bell. So I think we have to stop and analyze for just a second, Gibbs, right? Quentin is seen walking south. Jessica gets gas, then she starts to drive south. Both of their cell phones are pinging, making it seem as though they're in the same place.
Right.
I think the natural inclination is to say Jessica picked Quentin up in her car.
That would make logical sense.
Now, when Quentin was originally questioned by police, he said that the last time he saw Jessica was around 12 p.m. I mean, that's early afternoon.
Yeah.
But he's not going to stick with that story. He would later change it to say that the last time he saw Jessica alive was while they were getting food around 6 p.m. at the Taco Bell. Now, he would tell police that after they ate, they both left and went their separate ways. So he's now saying it was 12, but I saw her at 6:15. We ate, but I didn't see her after that.
And then I went my own way.
Yeah.
That's the story I'm going with now.
Police don't like that.
No.
They don't like it when your story changes. And we're not saying, this is not, I thought it was 6:05. It was really 6:15. I didn't see her at all after 12. No, wait a minute. I saw her at 6:15.
Right.
That's very, very different.
And during this whole time, Jessica, from their phone records, they can see she keeps trying to get a hold of Kesha, and Kesha's not returning a phone call, which is not normal. These, again, are two of the best friends, and they always talk throughout the day. I think it's probably a little strange. I think the police are, why didn't she answer? Why aren't they making a connection? But we really never find out whatever happened about that.
Right. Why won't this person call Jessica back?
Right.
All that is very strange. All right, Gibbs, let's take our last quick break to talk about Best Fiends. And listen, Best Fiends is a totally different puzzle experience. You can solve thousands of fun puzzles, collect tons of cute characters. There's an epic storyline that will keep you engaged the entire time. We're talking about thousands of hours of gameplay here. This is a game that's easy to learn, but difficult to master. Some of the really challenging levels will require you to use your brain, but it's a perfect casual game. Best Fiends is. You can play alone or you can play with family and friends, and you can play offline anywhere. What jumps out to me about Best Fiends is its visual styling. Very bright colors, and probably best of all, it's just the storyline. Like I said, it keeps you engaged. It keeps you wanting to play and level up. So solve thousands of fun puzzles, collect tons of cute characters on Best Fiends, the 5-star rated mobile game on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Download Best Fiends free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's Best Fiends, like friends without the R. Best Fiends. So police have the phone records, right, showing Quentin and Jessica in the same place, south of the M&M convenience store. All of this is based off cell tower pings. What the police theorized was that during this time frame, Quentin was attempting to get Jessica to have sex with him. She refused, and he ultimately got violent with her.
Yeah.
They believe that he suffocated her. He thought he had killed her. This is their theory, right?
Right.
Police theory. But she wasn't dead. So then he set her and her car on fire, most likely while she was sitting in the driver's seat. But she experienced so much pain that she woke up, got out of the car, and was walking by the time the fire department got there, which we said was very quick.
Very quick.
2 minutes or so. Again, this is all police theory, but what we're going to talk about next is not theory. The police do know that between 6:49 p.m. and 7:26 p.m., Jessica's phone and Quentin's phone, they're not pinging off of any towers. The police felt that it was during this time frame that Quentin Tellis murdered Jessica Chambers.
So what's bizarre about that is we know Jessica has made several attempts to get a hold of Kesha. So why now would she not make herself available just in case Kesha finally called her back? I think it's kind of strange.
It is strange to not have your phone on or battery in or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Whatever's going to make it ping to make you be able to receive and make a phone call when you've been trying to get a hold of this person all night. Right. But the police get a couple of other nuggets, right, from talking with people. At 7:10 p.m., a car pulls away from Quentin's home. This was relayed to police by a witness. Now, Quentin later said it was his uncle. Then at 7:26 p.m., a car pulls in, then leaves Quentin's sister's house. Apparently, she lived right next door to Quentin. Witnesses said that she wasn't home as she was at the M&M convenience store that night. About 7:30, Quentin's mom heads to the M&M store as well. And it's around 7:30 that the police say Jessica's phone pings again off a cell tower near Heron Road. And this is the road where the firefighters are going to find Jessica Chambers. So again, a lot of information, but all important when you're digging into an unsolved case.
Yeah. And that is the most busiest convenience store.
I mean,
ever.
Everybody in this town is at the M&M.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Jessica's phone back on. At 7:43 p.m., Quentin's phone turned back on. And it showed that he tried to call Jessica and actually left her a voicemail, followed by this text. Bae, my friend is coming over tonight. I'll call you tomorrow. Good night, sweet dreams. Now, Quentin would later tell police that he sent this text to Jessica just to give her a heads up that his girlfriend was going to be at his house. So he was warning Jessica, don't come by.
Yeah. How convenient. The problem with that story is his girlfriend wasn't in town. His girlfriend was down in Louisiana at that time.
And I will say this, Gibbs, this girlfriend of Quentin's pretty important in his life. He actually ended up marrying her later on. I just throw that out there to say that this was a little bit more than a fling.
If you marry somebody, can they testify against you?
They don't have to.
There you go.
Is that how it works?
I think so.
Not required to.
Maybe that's
you can't compel them to.
Maybe that's why they get married.
Now, around this same time that Quentin sent the text to Jessica, he also sent a text to his girlfriend saying that he was going to borrow his sister's Tahoe. Now, later on during the investigation, the keys to Jessica's car were found near Quentin's sister's home on the road by a neighbor. So this neighbor picked up these keys and called police.
So I think some of the theory here is they know Quentin went to go get his sister's Tahoe. Did he have Jessica's keys and dropped them on the road when he went in to get the Tahoe? Is that how the keys got there? They're trying to put a timeline together and saying he was here, then he was here. Jessica's keys were found out on the street outside of his sister's home. It's got to be him.
Well, we know they're trying to put it together because they tried this guy twice, right? We're going to talk about that. From 7:46 to 8 p.m., Quentin's phone, according to police, is placed on silent. I didn't know you could tell something like that.
I don't either.
But
maybe when they take your phone and do diagnostics, maybe when they take your phone and do diagnostics. I guess when they take your phone and they plug it into that machine and see everything that it does, they can determine that you put your phone on silent, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I guarantee you Apple knows. Apple knows everything you do.
You're right. They know what I'm thinking about eating 2 hours from now.
Right.
Because it'll be on my phone.
So,
like, I was just thinking about that.
Not to get off on a tangent.
Yeah.
My wife earlier today said that we needed a new washing machine.
Yeah.
Literally 2 minutes later, an ad popped on my phone out of nowhere from Best Buy saying 40% off appliances.
Well, So
This thing is listening to my conversations.
I think it is that. And let's be honest, you are what's higher than platinum?
No, I have the super secret double probation
Yeah. I mean,
reward level at Best Buy.
I know that you have a key to the store if you want to get in prior to an opening, because that's how often you go there.
Yeah, I do spend way too much at Best Buy, but I just thought that was like, how did it know that?
Yeah. It's amazing.
So they're getting all this information from the phones, right? That's the key. But it's this period where it's about 14 minutes. They say Quentin's phone's on silent, and it's this 14-minute window of time that the police believe is when Quentin set the car on fire. So they're, during the investigation, they narrow it down.
They keep coming back to this time frame.
Yeah. And now they're in this 14-minute window. A witness said that they saw a car during this same time frame drive down Quentin's driveway to his storage shed and retrieve something. Then the car pulled away. It was only there for about 2 minutes, according to the witness. This is the shed where Quentin kept a gasoline can for his dirt bike.
And he admits that.
He admitted that.
That's
sure.
where I keep my gas can.
But of course, police are using that to say, you went, you got the gas, you drove back, you set the car on fire. At 8:04 p.m., Jessica's phone made its last ping. The phone was found just 2 feet away from her car. But what's important is that the battery was separated from the phone. Now, you and I have just spent a lot of time talking about when this phone was pinging, when it was not pinging.
Right.
One of the ways that I believe you get a phone not to ping is by pulling the battery out. At least in movies, when people are when the bad guys are chasing the good guys,
They pull the battery.
they pull the battery or the SIM card, or they pull something. But there was also a huge car fire.
Right.
It was very, very hot. Who knows what happened to that phone? But you have to talk about it. It's very intriguing.
Yeah.
So as we're keeping in line with this timeline, it's 8:07 when the call comes into 911 about the burning car. Now, cell data for that time for Quentin's phone shows him at the Piggly Wiggly
A little grocery store.
and Fred's, which is also a
I
grocery
think that's
store.
another grocery store, isn't it?
Yeah. He's buying a gift card for his girlfriend. Records indicate that he called his girlfriend 5 times from 8 o'clock to 8:23 p.m.
It's a little strange.
It seems excessive. I'll be honest with you, Gibbs. I don't talk on the phone 5 times all day.
Right.
So for you to say that I made 5 phone calls between 8 and 8:23, that ain't happening.
Yeah. I'd say something's up. What are you
Yeah.
trying to do? What are you trying to cover up?
But that's just me. I don't like to talk on the phone. But they had the store video. They can see Quentin walking around inside the store. He's wearing the same clothes that he had on earlier in the day. The only difference is he's not wearing a jacket that he did have on earlier. Then at 9 p.m., he's caught on tape again at the M&M. I'd like to buy a steak in this place called M&M
Guess, man.
because it is a hopping. So he's caught on tape. At this point, he's got a whole new set of clothes on.
Yeah.
And we're only talking about a half hour later. And according to police, what he told them was that he took a quick bath, got home from the grocery store, took a bath, changed his clothes. But I think one of the things that really hits you is when police talk about the fact that Quentin deleted Jessica's contact info and all their history from his phone. So text history, everything.
That night.
That night, very quickly. That is, to me, something that's very telling from a young person. We just mentioned that I just mentioned that I don't like to talk on the phone. Not a huge texter either. But having 2 kids, I know they're stuck in those phones all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Deleting your conversation history with someone, that would be catastrophic.
Yeah.
How would you go back, 10 days ago and see what they said and why you're mad at them? And
You want to see the history?
yeah. So to me, that really says a lot.
But also, you're not going to get rid of it. The police can find
Oh, yeah.
everything on your phone.
Yeah. You're not really deleting it. You're just wiping it off your phone. So we've talked about what the police pieced together for these events that led up to Jessica's murder. And this was derived from a bunch of different sources of information. Eyewitnesses, a lot of technology, phone pings, video cameras, video footage, all of that. But we mentioned it pretty early on. The police believed that Quentin was involved in the death of Jessica Chambers. So let's talk a little bit about Quentin. He was 27 years old at the time this happened. He was 8 years older than Jessica.
Pretty good gap.
That's quite a bit when you're that young. He grew up in Jessica's neighborhood. They went to the same high school. He also did some time in state prison and was released on parole on October 9th, 2014, after serving 3 years for robbery and home invasion. That's no joke. You break into somebody's house, rough them up, steal something, maybe pull a gun. I don't know, but you got 3 years.
So he's only been out for just 2 months.
Well, I think that's the other thing, right? Got out in October. We know this happened in early December. So just not even quite 2 months.
Yeah. He was also a gang member.
Yeah, he was a member of a gang called the Vice Lords. There is some information out there, Gibbs, that Quentin was hospitalized in his early 20s for mental health reasons, mental health issues. I don't know the extent of what they were, but I think one of the big things is, we just mentioned he'd only been out of jail or prison for a couple of months. So obviously he had not known Jessica Chambers long. He just met her about 2 weeks prior to her death. Met her through Kesha, their mutual friend. And it's pretty clear when you look at some of the text messages, he was trying to have sex with Jessica. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, on the day that she was set on fire and died, some of his text messages were sexual. He wanted to have sex with her. Now, when he was interviewed by police, he admitted that he did have sex with Jessica, but it wasn't on the day she died. It was a couple of days before, and it only happened one time. That's what he said. He told police that Jessica wouldn't have sex with him the day she died because she said she was on her period. But there's a problem, because you have a medical examiner that examined Jessica and determined that she wasn't menstruating. So if she really did in fact tell Quentin that she was, my only thought or my only reason for that, Gibbs, would be possibly that she didn't want to.
Right.
She didn't want to be with him, and she was using that
As a deterrent?
You say deterrent?
Deterrent. As a
Deterrent.
deterrent. Yeah, as a deterrent.
Yeah, to get him to leave her alone, possibly. So we've talked about the police. We've talked about Quentin. They have all this information, but none of it is conclusively pointing to the fact that he murdered Jessica. He's on their suspect list, but they can't detain him.
No, they can't hold him.
Now, the police got in some hot water. They had Jessica's car towed, and the tow truck driver en route
Yeah.
from picking up her car,
Where's he stop?
he stopped at the M&M.
Shocker.
And like we said, this place is the most packed place for miles around. But what happened was, people are obviously, by this point, they know something happened.
Right.
They went up to the car. They were touching it. They were trying to open doors and mess around and
Looking inside.
reaching inside. So obviously the key is the car was not secure, and basically anything inside the car, anything on the outside of the car, if there was evidence, it was most likely tainted, compromised.
Sure.
Or even if it wasn't, it's not going to stand up in court.
Yeah. So the police would claim that they processed the car on site. They did it within an hour time frame. They were satisfied with the results. They released the car to the truck driver. I think the public's issue with this is, how do you process a car in 1 hour that was involved in Jessica's death? Why wouldn't you want to take more time? I just feel like an hour seems kind of rushed.
Well, it seems very quick just for the fact of, it seems like no matter any time I do things, it takes me an hour just to get my tools out. So, when you say that, it does seem very, now these are professionals, is what they do all the time, but we also talked about how small this place is. What experience do they have?
Right.
What experience do they have with, a crime scene that is essentially a charred car? That has to be different than a car that was not burnt, I would think. I don't know from experience, but so police are not letting Quentin go. They don't have enough to do anything with him yet, but they're not letting him go. In the meantime, they start to look into another lead, and it's Quentin's best friend, a guy by the name of Eric Hills. It also happens to be Quentin's girlfriend's cousin.
And his sister's ex-boyfriend. It's a little love triangle.
There's a lot going on, with that tree. But his name is Eric.
Yeah.
And so naturally you go back to, was it Eric that Jessica tried to whisper that night to the first responder? And if so, was this the Eric that she was talking about? But the police looked into this guy, this Eric Hills guy. And my assumption is, Gibbs, they looked pretty darn hard. They couldn't find anything that tied him to the murder of Jessica Chambers, and he was ultimately cleared.
So that leaves us just with Quentin and really no other suspect. I mean, there is a $55,000 reward out there, but the police don't get any more leads.
So a whole year goes by, right, Gibbs? They're investigating. They spend a lot of that time looking at Quentin, I think. The police decide to take a second look. They're going to go back through all the notes, the investigation videos, interviews, phone logs, all of it. One of the interviews they look very hard at is Quentin's. And I think detectives pretty quickly realized that some of the answers he gave to the original detectives, it didn't match up. It didn't align with the evidence they had in their file. Well, and I think detectives, the police, everybody involved, they started to look at Quentin again. Obviously, some of his answers didn't seem to match up to evidence, but maybe even more so than that, they found out he was on trial in Louisiana for torturing a woman. So in that case, he allegedly stabbed a 34-year-old grad student over 30 times.
Excessive.
And you know what he was after? Her debit card PIN.
Just wanted to take some money out of the bank.
You know how much money you can get from a cash machine?
I think just $500. Right?
300, 500.
It's daily limits. That's stupid.
That is just unbelievable.
To kill somebody over something like that.
So he pleaded guilty to the fraudulent use of her card, but somehow not guilty to murder. So he somehow got her card and her PIN, but he did not stab her 30 times to get it.
I found it on the street, got it from somebody else. Who knows what?
The PIN was written on the back of it.
Yeah, it was conveniently right there. I guessed it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
He was classified as a habitual offender. He received a 10-year sentence for essentially theft of a credit card, not murder.
No.
And apparently he's being pretty good in prison, which is shaving small amounts off his sentence. He could be out as early as 2025.
Yeah, not too far away.
No. So I guess the good thing is the detectives knew where he was. He wasn't going anywhere. And they set out to make a case against him.
Yeah.
They eventually charged Quentin with capital murder in the death of Jessica Chambers. And there have been 2 trials. And again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on the trials because they both ended in mistrials.
Yeah.
The last one just ending, less than a year ago, October of 2018.
And I think the frustrating part, probably for the prosecution, is that they feel they have a pretty good case.
Yeah.
But they're always haunted by what Jessica said. And the defense will constantly bring that up. Jessica said the assumption is Jessica said her killer is Eric, because her last thing that she said was Eric. So how could somebody by the name of Quentin be guilty of murder? It should be somebody named Eric.
So we said both mistrials, but really mistrials only because the juries couldn't come to a unanimous decision, either one of them. And they really weren't all that close. I mean, I think the first one was 7-5. The second one, they were split 6-6.
Yeah.
And I think it's, to your point, a lot of it came down to this, what people believe are Jessica's last words, or her last word, naming her killer. So, I mean, if it really isn't Eric, people are putting a lot of stock in it. But as a defense attorney, what better reasonable doubt do you have?
Sure, you have the victim saying
that it wasn't Quentin.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's like a golden ticket.
I don't know. This case is frustrating. It frustrates a lot of people.
So being a mistrial, they could keep trying this case. But the prosecution, after the last trial, said, you know what? We're not really sure if we're going to pursue this anymore.
Well, and I think they're probably looking at 7-5, 6-6 and thinking the odds are not in our favor.
Yeah.
What are we going to do differently that is going to swing a jury, 12-0?
Right.
There's probably nothing they can do.
So why keep spending the state's money, putting the family through the same trials again and again? Yeah.
But this is an interesting case on a lot of levels. Number one, the chief suspect is in prison for something else.
Sure.
But he's going to get out. And unless they come up with something more definitive than probably what they have right now, he's going to get out in 5-6 years.
Yep.
So I don't know, but that's it. That's the case of Jessica Chambers. Gibbs, we got some voicemails. You want to check those out?
Hi guys, this is Gray from Florida. I just wanted to call and tell y'all that I absolutely love your podcast. I just finished all of the true crime all the time. I was totally addicted, never listened to podcasts before, and now I'm working through the true crime all the time unsolved. The only thing is that there's only the last few months of the podcast on there, so I can't start from the beginning. So I'm sad about that. But I did just get done listening to your one on now I can't remember, Jennifer Harris, and you were talking about her dad being an ex-Marine. Gibby, there's never any ex-Marine. I'm actually a Navy sailor myself, and the stepmother to a Marine. But once a Marine, always a Marine. So please don't say ex-Marine, because there never is any. Okay, all right. I love y'all, and I hope you reload those earlier True Time All the Time Unsolved, and I hope to listen to them soon. Thank you. Bye.
She put you in your place.
Yeah, she did.
Just like I got put in my place on TCAT.
Yeah. All right, I'll remember that.
I think, she's definitely right about that. So speaking of unsolved, right, they're on the regular feed. There will always be 6 months worth of the most current unsolved episodes. Everything older than that is on Stitcher Premium, and Stitcher Premium has a 30-day free trial. So depending on how quickly you binge, you can, listen to all of them if you're fast enough. But
this is Jenny, all the way from Southwest Harbor, Maine. And I started listening to Criminology first, and I really caught up on all the available episodes, and it's been awesome. And then I recently tuned into True Crime All the Time Unsolved, and I've been loving the podcast. I think you guys just are great at what you're doing, but also currently listening to the Morgan Nick one on the Unsolved from 1995. And I had to pause it and call because my really good friend that I grew up with from high school worked actually at the National Center for Exploited Children and worked with Colleen a lot on her missing daughter, Morgan. And my friend's daughter actually has her middle name because of all of this. And it's just really amazing. And I just really appreciate the work you guys do on all these cases and just how great you are in respecting all the families that are involved in all of these missing family members. And I just can't imagine how hard that would be to know someone or have a missing person in your family. So thank you for what you do and, keep on doing it. And thanks. Bye.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Very much.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Gibby. This is Jen from Springfield, Oregon. I just have to say that you guys are absolutely amazing. And Gibby, that voice, geez. I would just love to try and put forth a case here in Oregon that has really brought a lot of attention. And I don't know if it's known anywhere else, but it's huge here. Today is June 4th, 2019. And this is the 9th year that the disappearance of 7-year-old Kyron Herman went missing at his elementary school. It's been 9 years, and this little boy has still not been found. There's been no answers. Everybody's lost. And I feel like this case can be solved. I would really like to get some recognition out there, because 9 years is just too long and cannot go on any longer. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
So I will say this. Gibbs, you and I were talking about this case earlier.
We were.
It is a very well-known unsolved case. If you go out and look, I bet you almost every podcast that dabbles in unsolved cases has probably done an episode on it. It's very, very well known. We have it on the list. We will do it. I don't know why we haven't. Probably just because every time I turn around, somebody's putting out an episode about it.
Yeah. I mean,
is probably the reason why we haven't.
We started working on it. We've got it. We'll eventually get to where we're ready to turn it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey guys, my name is April, longtime listener. I'm out of Northern California. Love your show. You guys keep my day entertaining. I work for an end-of-life company for pets in Northern California, and I travel from Monterey to Reno, Nevada, pretty much all over the place. I service the veterinary clinics. Love you guys so much. I just thought I would call in and show some love from California. Hope you guys have a good day. Keep your own time ticking. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Bello. Awesome. We appreciate that voicemail.
That was cool. Thank you for that.
All right, Gibbs, that is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Hey, TCAT fans, don't forget about Turo, the largest car sharing marketplace in the world. You can book any car you want from a community of trusted hosts. Get that exotic sports car. Get that pickup truck so you don't have to call your buddy and borrow theirs to help you move. Turo has the widest selection of cars available anywhere for whatever occasion. Download the Turo app, that's Turo, on the App Store or Google Play, or visit Turo.com and get $25 off your first trip when you sign up with the promo code TCAT at checkout. Terms apply.